we're working on too big of a subject to be able to do that. So we're actually in kind of my back room, which doubles as my paint studio. So what we have here is we are going to be working on this canvas, which is 2 foot by 3 foot. And we're going to be working on this drawing over here, which I'll put in the camera shortly. And what I've done is I've got a grid pattern on here and a grid pattern on the drawing. And I'll be drawing in kind of like chalk and pencil tonight, but the chalk I'm using is not typical chalk, because I could be using, you know, like a pastel. But that's not as exacting as I like to be, because, well, I really like things very, very tight. I could also be using a chalk pencil, but you can't see that on the other side of the internet. It's very, very light. So I've kind of like combined the two tonight, and I've grabbed a chalk marker, like the kind that they put and use on menus, which I used to do menus. I've done several menus and enjoyed those projects, but right now, you know, doing some other stuff. So I'm going to be using this chalk marker for the most part, and then I'll probably be filling in some stuff with the regular chalk. I probably won't grab any pencils, because the closest I'm getting to pencil is the grid mark that we've put on here. This is a very, it's a metallic that we're playing with here, with a bunch of blues and cranberries and things. And this was a poured canvas and then scraped and poured and scraped again. So there's a lot of like little hidden textures in here that we're going to play with. And it's just going to be like, you know, really interesting to have some of those metallics come out through the paint once we get to doing the paint. So without further ado, I think tonight, since we're working on a sea scene, that we are going to have to work with a sea sort of, you know. All right, so here you see what we're working on. We're going to be working on this really nice sea scene. I'm going to move it down because all of my HAPS stuff is in the way. This is just a detail of it so that I can get those details in. So let me move that right now. Excuse the shiny head. And this is going to probably be the next couple weeks that we are tackling this guy, because this big boy is, you know, like I said, 2 foot by 3 foot. So it's kind of a large canvas. And really, first time I've played with this. It's also, this is the first canvas I've ever stretched myself. So it's kind of like a momentous canvas. Yay! But we're continuing with the series of windows in this, and we'll see what comes of it. Right now, we're just going to get started on putting the drawing in. I'm going to be playing, well, what else? The Song of the Sea, soundtrack to this amazing film. If you have not seen The Song of the Sea, I recommend it highly. It's gorgeous. The animation is amazing. And if you think, ugh, animated, I'm not a kid, you do not have to be a kid to appreciate this. It's wonderful tales and fables from Nordic and Gaelic culture. And this particular one is, I think, based mostly in like Scotland area. It's phenomenal. So let's get started without any further ado. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of go left to right, up and down. I will be kind of like moving around a little bit. I'm not going to work on any heavy measured objects right now as far as like these are concerned, with the stairs and these stone sections. I'm going to just kind of like sketch them in. I don't want to put any hard, like really perfect hard edges in yet, because that's not quite where I'm at. So we're going to rough it out first. And I know that this tree cascades into this. It stays mostly up in this square. And I think I'm making it already a little too big. So you're probably like, oh my gosh, what's he going to do? It's a marker. No, it's a chalk marker. So that's why I use chalk markers, because I can erase them easily. That's why I like them. little water, an erasure. So the only problem with the chalk marker and erasing is that now that's wet, so I can't put chalk marker on it anymore right now. I have to kind of wait. So what I do is I just move on to a different area. So I'll start over here on the right and go with that. And I think maybe what I need to do is I need to hold this a little bit more conservatively. I mean, less conservatively, and just flow with it, you know. Okay, so if you are watching right now, thank you for watching. Welcome to the Draw and Paint Club. What I'm doing right here is I'm going to be kind of like tutorialing how to take a small picture and make it into a large canvas, you know, and utilizing a grid pattern to do your drawing first. It's kind of what tonight's about. If I get to the painting portion, so much the better, but I'm going to try to sketch it out first. It usually doesn't take me a long time to sketch it out. If you are following this on anything but Haps, you can also find me on the Haps app. It's, you know, it's kind of still sort of like a little bit in beta, but it is a wonderful platform. I love the platform because it allows me to broadcast on several different channels at one time. So you might be watching this on Facebook, you might be watching it on YouTube, you might be watching it on my Facebook page. There are just so many different ways to watch when it comes to this. And I know I sound like Hapsad. I don't care. I like the system. I think it's a good idea. I tried to broadcast at one point just on my Facebook, and what ended up happening was I ended up with a lot of issues. It just lagged on me the whole time. It was just messy, and not so much fun. All right. Now I'm right-handed, so I probably shouldn't be going this way, but I'm going to go this way anyway. Then here, I'm about halfway down and halfway down there. And get a structured line coming in. That's this rock wall. And that rock wall has some things cascading over there. And things cascading over there. And this is way too far down. Actually, it's be more like up here. I have my handy dandy erasing tool. The water. To use the vernacular of my home state, Rhode Island, where actually everything sounds kind of weird. Don't tell them I told you that. I'll get ostracized. And again, right now, just kind of like working in some basics. This can all change as we go forward. And it more than likely will. Just make sure that I understand this as rocks, which again will change as I move forward. It's always wiser to kind of like draw away from your dominant hand in this way. But since we were waiting for that to dry, I kind of like just chilled out on it. I went and got a little bit too overzealous on that section. And if you are watching somewhere where you can go ahead and comment, I can read comments from pretty much any other platform right now. They'll pop up on here. So you might be watching on Twitch. That one doesn't always work as well, but if you're watching on YouTube, or you're watching on Facebook, or you're even watching on Twitter, you can message me or add comments rather, and I can see them and respond to you as we go along. So I would love to hear from folks out there, see what you're doing. How's everybody doing tonight? I know I'm doing pretty good. I'm drawing, so that's always a good way to start the evening hours. And right now I'm going to kind of draw in the major branches, not the little ones. And the reason I'm going to do that is because it doesn't have to have all the detail in it yet. I just need to kind of structure it out and kind of sketch it out. This tree, all the way in here. Now remember, nothing is exact when you're doing this. And nobody else has this except for you. So I think what I'm gonna do is I've made this kind of large. Now I'm looking at it. And the large portion comes in here. So let's let this go down. And when you're doing this sort of sketching, it's like, oh my God, that's messy. That's so horrible. How's he going to ever understand that? Because I'm kind of like writing in my own little language here. In this thumbnail sort of thingy. You know, I know what I'm going at. I know what I'm visually speaking to. And if it's not as evident to other people, it's okay. It doesn't have to be. I'm going to work this to my best ability. And again, it's not like perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let me zoom in a little bit and show you where I'm at. And the dehumidifier goes off. So I will go shut that down. I'll be right back. I'll put it back on when we leave. Somebody remind me. Just kidding. You don't have to remind me. Okay, so this is where we're at with this. And I know the picture is kind of out of focus now. The original. So let's bring that back in a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we are right here in this quadrant right now. Come down, here's our tree that we're doing here. With all those ups. Okay. And then there's tree way out in the distance. Tree further in the distance. Pardon me. And we've got more of these beautiful stone walls happening here. And the rough landscaping and whatnot. What's curious about this tree is at the bottom of this third section, that's the beach of the cove. It's going to come back in here, and it's going to get interrupted by a piece of the pier. So this pier structure comes out here. And this is where perspective and stuff gets really interesting. It's pretty straight here. There's a post in the center. A shorter post over here, but it's only shorter because it has some sand on it. Now we start coming this way. Still moving basically the same direction. And then we take an abrupt turn and come right out towards us. So we're going to start moving right this way. All right. back up so we can see what we're doing here. So now we're kind of done the top. Sorry, the camera does not move like swiftly and nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of like make this line here and this line here. This one's going to stay the same, right? That's where all of our piers are ending, but this goes really extreme all the way down to the bottom corner. And they just keep getting closer and closer together. So we've got quite a bit of one here, and it tilts out. And I'm going to extend them a little bit. So we got a little bit of this. Then we got one here. Now again, this is super rough. You guys know how detailed I am. This is like, it's like, oh my God, who took over Jay? What's going on? Well, this is just kind of what happens when you're doing the sketch in these things. It certainly is not perfect. But again, I know what I'm getting at. It doesn't really, really matter. There's that bolt. That bolt. This one's barely visible. The rest of them pretty much aren't. There's a secondary bar that goes here. The same bar continues out to here. There's some planks on here. Plank, 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 plank. Look at all the planks. And again, sketching it out so I know what's going on. And you might be looking at this going, oh my gosh. How is this guy an artist? Ugh. Well, I'm an artist because I can translate this into something more like that by the time we're done in Paint. So that's where the artistry comes in, is actually being able to understand sort of my own language on this stuff. And having the creativity to kind of like, I can also, I don't have to stay strictly perfect to the scene because I'm going ahead and interpreting the scene. We get this coming down here. We get this beautiful through line. And here, it just happens to match a line on the canvas. So like this through line here is right here in the composition. And it just so happens that matches the canvas line almost. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually kind of force it to match the canvas line. So we've got this triangular composition coming up, pointing us up as we enter into the piece. And that's the whole point of working on composition, is where are you placing colors? Where are you placing shapes? How are you defining your areas? This nice little cove of pebbles. It's all over here. And I love these things. We've got these great, beautiful footprints all over the beach. Now on this side of here, I've got another rock. Oh, we're definitely going to get to paint tonight, everybody. And this one's got all sorts of different There's some little rocks back here. Remember, these have rocks in them too. Wow. Okay. Let's turn this light off here. I know it's really weird to have my hand in the middle of that. There we go. Ah, look at that. Okay. And that's why I had the light on, was because my shadow casts on it. So now what we've got is we've got the basic like setup on here of what's going down. I'm going to break out some paints and I'm going to get started with some base tones and working in some base colors. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to start with like some washes. I just want some basic sort of understanding of where things go. I'm going to chunk it out, so to speak. I'm going to grab a palette, handy dandy palette, and I got the brushes right here. Hello, brushes. Aren't you just brush-tastic? I'm going to grab the biggest areas first and then move smaller and smaller in detail. Because again, that's kind of what we do, right? Take a wild guess to what colors I'm going to grab on this one. As he fishes around. No, not Mars Black. Don't be silly. We don't use that until we have to. Okay, we're going to start with some underpainting. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to underpaint with a brush. I'm going to use palette knives to underpaint with today. And again, we're using a combination of golden and Utrecht colors today. Kind of need a disbursement of both. So we're going to have lots of fun stuff. Now, I've got this whole underpainting going on here already with this, and I'm going to play with that a little bit more just to kind of pull things up and make things work more to my advantage. There's a color that I absolutely love. It's dioxazine purple. One of my favorite colors. This is the Utrecht dioxazine purple. Wow, I can't even say that anymore. But I'm going to temper that. I'm going to temper that with, you know, you should always have white on hand, even if you're not going to use it. Where is my yellow ochre? Ah! Burnt umber. Yay! Alizarin Crimson. Yay. Oh, here they are. Here they are. Here's the yellow ochre, the Alizarin Crimson, and the burnt umber. So again, I've got some really kind of funky colors going on there. I'm going to grab the Payne's Gray. Everybody loves Payne's Gray. As part of this. And go from there. So I'm going to start chunking these colors out with my palette knife. So, and again, Alizarin Crimson. This is Alizarin Crimson hue, by the way. And I'm not going to quite put on the palette yet anything but the Payne's Gray, the Crimson, and purple, Payne's Gray, Crimson. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to really lay down some kind of like harsh colors. So let's see. I want to put in some matte medium, because if I don't, I'm going to run out of color really quickly here, and we don't want that. We don't want me to run out of color. Running out of color is kind of like poopy. Of course. There we go. There's the jar. It for some reason did not want to open for me tonight. I take in another palette knife. Ooh, that was funky on the camera. And I'm going to scoop out some of this gel medium so that I have something to combine with. Now, I can't hold up this to the camera because this is a medium, not a heavy. So it's actually a little thinner than what we've been using, but that's kind of what I want to do, right? I want to thin this down a little bit. That's why I'm combining it with the medium, because I want to get it to last a little longer. So that soundtrack really does sound weird, right? Okay, so I'm going to turn my attention over to here, and let's see. Every time I do this, all I can think of is Lord of the Rings, Gollum. What's it doing, precious? Oh boy, my voice is off tonight. I can't even do Gollum. That's problematic. Is there anybody out there? I feel very lonely tonight. Wow, nobody talking. I don't know what's going on. I hope this thing launched properly. But there's no way for me to check right now. So why am I going so dark with this? Well, I'm going so dark with it because I really, really want to have a nice kind of like base of dark to add in the lights, which sounds kind of redundant, but what it does is it gives me, like, say for, this is where, the rock wall is going. Well, with that being there, what ends up happening is I have kind of a base for what's in between the rocks, and that helps me out with where I'm going with it next. Now, areas I'm not going to underpaint over here. Probably going to do a little bit on the trunk, but I won't do a lot of heavy stuff anywhere in there because it's going to be kind of slightly detrimental to what I'm trying to do. If I do that, it's not, it's too detailed, and I don't need a lot of texture in there. What I need is a lot of build-up of detail, which is not going to happen if I go in there and focus on trying to make that all work to my advantage. And again, Payne's Gray. like how that turned out. So I'm gonna have to very quickly before it dries out because it's stretched thin. Eliminate some of it. I'm okay with that. I'll live with that. Is there anybody out there? I have one live chat, and that live chat is from a bot. Well, hopefully you're all enjoying this. I wish I could know. But that's okay. I know. I sound really, really desperate right now. So I'm going to take some of this alizarin crimson. I'm going to run it up this side of these posts because there's a lot of green and whatnot in those posts. And remember, the colors in the photograph aren't necessarily true to the colors that are in the scene. You know, I mean, like, photograph's only so good. It's not going to be necessarily completely true to the scene. And that's fine. You know, I mean, I have my memory of the scene, which is going to be flawed, of course, because memories are flawed. It's why eyewitness accounts are not usually dependable, because we kind of see what we want to see very often. I know you guys can't see where I am at on the bottom. And you're probably looking at it going, why is he creating all these really harsh things that he's going to have to fight afterwards? Because this, again, is underpaint, and what that's going to do is it's going to let me pop out the actual color that's going on top. You know, it's just one of those things where it adds some texture because I'm using a palette knife, so it's going to be rough. Which means that almost sculpturally, I can increase the feeling of the paint in kind of like a, you know, in a way where it's very different. It's, I can use the three-dimensionality of this applied paint to increase the three-dimensionality of the object without having to necessarily paint that all in, because this will give me some texture to paint upon, and then it'll carry through. And there'll be actually a physical shadow there instead of just an applied shadow, if that makes sense. So once again, if you are watching along, I'd really appreciate a subscription to the YouTube, to this channel, on Haps, to, you know, if you're looking at Facebook, it'd be really great to have you as a follow for the Art of Jason Robert LeClaire. Because that's you know, that's the pro page. That's the one that I market everything on. I did just open my shop. It's on my website, cartoonsandcreatures.com/shop. I've got a few pieces up now, kind of testing it out, seeing, you know, what people would like to purchase, etc. There are a few pieces from what we do here on there. Some of the sample pieces are there, the originals. So, you know, there is that if you're interested. And look at some purple over here. Is that when we hit that with the yellow ochre paint? This gives it kind of a more reddish tone, almost like a cedar sort of look, but we can weather it easier like this. And you notice I added a lot of medium, so it's kind of thin. It's almost like a wash. That's kind of what I would like to see in here, is almost like a wash. I do not want a lot on here, but I would like a little texture going into those. Kind of what looks like birch trees. Or, yeah, birch. They might be river birch, but they're birch. Or at least I'm gonna say that they're birch. I'm gonna believe that they're birch. So that's really all that matters right now with this piece. What do I believe that looks like? Well, I think it looks like a birch. Okay, it'll be a birch today. It'll be a birch. And a really super light. I'm gonna work on that amazing shoreline that was right on that line there. Okay. And again, all this stuff is going to kind of disappear as I go forward. So you have that too going for you. Alrighty. Switching palette knives now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm taking the rest of the purple that we had. Putting it in that shadowed area. So that when I pull out those really deep footsteps, they're going to show even more. Nice contrast. Look, Ma, windshield wipers. Then I've got this little thing over here. Let's see if I need some more on that. There we go. Another shadow area. Nothing's there. And there's a shadow area. Bottom of the cove here. Okay. There are people that work in nothing but palette knife, and they do amazing, amazing stuff. And I'm not one of those people. I use it for rough. I have done full palette knife paintings in my youth. Hello, Molly B. How are you? You're the first one to join me today, except for that bot that joined me right before you, right at the beginning of the session. I'm glad that you could join. Good to see you. How's everything going in Pittsburgh? I think what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm actually going to shut off the mic for just a little bit, and I'm going to hit this sucker with a blow dryer and get it all nice and dry. funky. And I just busted my palette. Oh well, these things happen. All right, let me just shut up the mic for a second. And that's enough for me to actually get started with the next phase. The sky. Boom, boom, boom. So as you can see on the picture, the sky is a really nice kind of like light blue in there. And again, I'm going to hit that this time with a wash, and I'm going to do it with not one of these. These are too small. I need a bigger brush, Jay.
Okay, let's go find one. La 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 la. Where could we find a bigger brush? I don't know. Maybe with all of the hardware.
Okay, let's go see the hardware. That was very, very quick getting back from the hardware store. There we go. Okay, we've got a nice Purdy brush. By the way, Purdy, the finest in brushes. In all honesty, they're really amazing, and I love them. And I use Purdy brushes all the time because they're Purdy. No, that's not it. It's because they have really like beautiful bristles, and they do a wonderful job. So here I am again. I've got some choices that I can make now. I have no problem like using latex. I really don't. I do it all the time. But I'm not so sure. Ocean Grove, New Jersey too. Oh, fun, 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 fun. Lots of different places to be with you. That's fantastic. So we can use the Goldens again here, or we can go ahead and grab something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my sky out of a new product. I'm going to grab the So Flat by Golden. which you might not be able to read right there. There we go. Golden So Flat. What I like about this product is that I can use regular Golden and these. These are very liquid. So it's cold. Yeah, it's cold here too. It's like unseasonably cold. It's not a happy thing. I'm not a happy camper right now. Definitely not a happy camper. And so, yeah, these dry exceedingly, well, you guessed it, flat. So they're matte colors. I really am beginning to enjoy them quite a bit. Trying to get to that sky. That looks pretty good. Okay. And I'm going to water that down too. Just a little bit. And we're going to work our magic on that. Stop all the drippage that I can. Because here's the thing. You know, as much as, yes, we did all this over here, we want the sky to show behind everything. So we kind of got to put sky in first. Because if we don't, yeah, it doesn't work so good. And perfectly fine to have that little bit of purple hanging out in there. I'm good with that. Probably wondering, like, oh my god, he's running over all of his drawing. Yeah, I am. That's okay. Because I can always put it back in. I'm not worried about that. And, you know, I've got this down here. This water, which is very calm. So remember, I'm working on underpainting mostly here right now, right? And what I'm going to do is kind of like, may seem a little odd, but you should know by now, I do the odd. Yeah, the pretty brush is really fancy. I like it a lot. But as somebody that paints murals and has done like scenic painting and that sort of thing, I want to make sure that I have a really high quality brush when I'm doing the big work. Because if I don't, it's going to turn out really crappy. We are only as good as the tools that we use. You know, so if I were to go at it with what's called a chip brush, which is like those little dollar brushes that you see, I'm not going to get anywhere near the same quality that I would using the Purdy or using, you know, like even the store brand is better than utilizing the other brushes. Like, the thing I have found about the Golden So Flat though is that it dries so fast. It's remarkable how fast this stuff like goes ahead and just sets. there. I'm watching a lot of the sky do this in the photo. Now remember, I can choose whatever sky I'd like to do. I don't have to stick with the one that's in the photo. I've got so many pictures of sky, it's crazy. So I could absolutely grab another picture of sky if I wanted to. I don't think I'm going to. I kind of have a lot of activity going on down the bottom, so I want to leave it kind of calm up the top. If I were to grab, and do tons of activity up there, it would distract from the rest of it, and I think that would be kind of like not working so good. But that's me. And again, we're going to work in some basics and see right here what's happening is the detail is getting done partially by the texture underneath. And so some of that texture and some of that paint comes out, and that's what I'm trying to go for. That's why the underpainting is so thick, because I don't necessarily want a fully flat kind of look on this. I want it to have some life and activity, past this. And what's really intriguing to me is that the sky usually gets darker as it goes up, and in this, I think I caught it at twilight. So the sky is lighter at the top. Not quite sure when I caught it. I didn't keep a timestamp on it. But remember, I do use all of my own reference photos. It's just, for me, it's easier than dealing with copyright issues on other people's work. And I take my reference photos wherever I am. I take a whole bunch of references. And the reason I do that is because I want a catalog of things. I have so many at this point. I have so many, just hundreds of different reference photos that I doubt that I'll ever get to them all, but it doesn't stop me from taking more. I just want to keep increasing my catalog. This is from, I think it's from 2015. Yeah, I think it's 2015 or 16. I can't remember, one of the two. So, stuff doesn't have to be current for your work. It has to be you, in my opinion. It's just something that you want to make sure you're reflected in your work. So now I can start getting a little bit more detailed stroke in there. Again, I still want to show off a little bit of what is happening behind. And like I said, just a little bit of the detail stroke. Just kind of like going ahead and getting those out there. So here it's almost 7 o'clock. Obviously, this was not going to be a simple 7 o'clock piece, or even 7:30 like we normally do. This is something that is going to continue into next week and maybe even beyond, because there's a lot of work that has to be done here. I probably will work on some over the interim. I'm not sure yet. The last time I didn't, and we didn't get to finish the piece, and that still haunts me, because that piece is still in back of me actually right now on its easel, still begging me to finish it, and I will. It's just one of those things where it's more important for me to start something new with you and see through what we're doing. We have 44 people that have seen what's going down around here. if any of you would like to comment, I'd love to hear from you. Always open to comments, always open to people popping in. No problem at all with that. Love when that happens. Very few clouds, which is great. We don't want things to be, again, obtrusive. I'm trying to make things very loose here. So there's a lot of things that are going on here. One of them is, there's sort of a painterly conceit going on here, which sounds all sorts of fancy, but it's really not. It just means that I'm allowing the paint to show off. The fact that I'm admitting that I'm actually doing a painting versus, fighting it and being like, no, I don't want to do the paint. I want it to look like it's absolute realism. And you know what? That is totally valid. You go ahead, super realists, do your thing. I am not one of you. It's not that I don't like what you do. I do. I can't do it. Okay, not that I can't. I really don't want to. I like the painterly conceit. Acrylic paints and canvases. You blame me. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you did. Please blame me whenever you get, more art supplies and try to make more magical, wonderful artwork. I will take the blame for that any day. We need to keep making art. Everybody needs to make art. Just in a really good discussion today on Clubhouse about art education. And not that it's a solution to problems, but man, it certainly helps with getting kids ready to actually, deal with emotions, deal with empathy. Who would want that? Who would want a citizenry that can empathize? Ugh, heaven forbid. Who would want such a thing? Okay, before I get on a political high horse here, I'm going to stop. Because that's not what this is about. This is about enjoying making art, guys. We're going to enjoy making art. Not that I think political issues are invalid. You know what? I just want to sit here and make art. Yep, like I said, Molly, blame me all you want. I'm good with that. I'm totally fine with that. Blame away. I will take the blame. Although I will not take the financial responsibility for your buying stuff. I want that to be made very, very clear. If you all want to buy stuff, that's on you. I'm not picking up the tab. You are responsible for your own purchasing your own stuff. I don't do that. I have a hard enough time keeping myself in supplies, mostly because I use a little bit of everything, so it gets kind of confusing. It's like, what was I working on this week? Was I working on watercolors? Was I working on acrylics? Was I working on sculpture? I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, I can only imagine, because that's not an art that like you can be like, I think I'll just pick something up and doing a little bit at home. It doesn't work that way. There's not many people that have a kiln in their house. I mean, I suppose you could always hand build and get it ready to be fired, but you didn't know how long this was going to last. We went home and we were told like 2 weeks. It's a long 2 weeks. Oh, okay. So you got it on sale. Getting it on sale is good. We like getting things on sale. I'm all about getting sales. I just got 30% off on a gift for someone. I was really happy because us was not cheap before the 30% off. So it just made me feel a lot better. And they're somebody that's frugal, so it's like I actually told them. I'm like, by the way, I got 30% off. That made them even happier. Ooh, I just got paint all over my pants. Whatever will I do? That's right. You're wearing your painting pants, Jay. Your painting trousers. For those of my friends in England, yes, no, I'm not wearing painting pants. I'm wearing painting trousers. I keep forgetting the language. It has different meanings for different things. So we're not wearing pants only. I'm also wearing trousers. I have my painting trousers on. All right, we're going to leave that alone. Probably going to have to alter that later, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. And yeah, that's very much a good point. The clay dust is certainly, not the best thing to have floating around your house. What areas do not have chunks of palette knife paint on them? No areas. Breaking out the hairdryer again. Yep. You heard me. Breaking out the hairdryer again, which means y'all are going to mute for a minute. Alrighty. So that is not going to dry in time for us to play with it anymore tonight, which is super annoying. Not to fret! We have other things we can do! All right. We're going to move over to the next studio. Past the paint markers. Oop, look, there it is. More studio fun.
Yay! We can paint other things.
Yes, we can. We can paint other stuff today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the easel and I'm going to move what I've been working on onto the easel and give us a little bit of a better look at it. Because right now, that's kind of like not the best look. There we go. That's much better. Yes, this is also my pantry. How funny is that, right? We go to CJ's pantry. Yeah, so you know that I really like super high quality peanut butter. Fix and Fog, amazing stuff. Oh my gosh. If you ever had the chance, get some. So good. There we go. Get that light off again. Hey! Now we can see what we're doing. All right. So what I'm working on here is rapids and rocks. The rocks don't look like rocks right now. The rapids do look like, kind of rapid, but they're not quite where I want them to be. So, and we have a Verde Copper frame going on this because, kind of like my obsession with frames and stuff. You know what? I'm not liking this right now. I'm doing all the no-nos ever in broadcasting. I'm messing with my camera shots, getting it all screwy for you, but that's okay. Who doesn't like a good little bit of a roller coaster when they're watching somebody do artwork, right? So, yeah, in response to what you just said, concerning the pants starting to get their thin, to get so covered in stuff that they're kind of like their own little thing, their own sculpture. Yes, I've certainly been there. Know what that's like. It's kind of like super crazy. Just trying to find something else here. Just go for a little bit of focus music again. I know I play that often, but it changes every week, so I'm okay with that. It kind of like move it around for me. There we go. So just to illustrate the painting pants, I deliberately, they're black so that they can get absolutely covered in stuff, and I have a history of what I've been working on. Not really. I think it's funny. So I have a couple different pairs. I have a gray pair, I have a black pair. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually start making this look like rock. Because right now, it does not look like rock. So I need to break out that palette again, and I've got some Payne's Gray already on the palette, which is fabulous because that's what I need, is a little bit of Payne's Gray to make this work. Now, what I've been doing to make some super detail in this stuff, and now I'm moved far away from my mic too. There, that's better. Is, I've been working with this liner brush and some other smaller brushes to add the detail. So that's what I'm going to do again. So we're going to grab our liner, a little water so it's actually a liner. And I'm going to grab that Payne's Gray that I already have out. I'm going to start working that in. So now this is not anything that I've taken photographs of. This is completely out of my head. What ended up happening was I made a poured paint portion on this canvas. And it started to speak to me as something different. So I listened. And, kept looking back at it. What does this thing want to be? Where is it going? And the first thing that came to mind was the rapids and how that just really looked like rapids to me and felt very, very volatile, which I really liked. I thought that was a great kind of look for that section, and I just kept going with it. I didn't question. I just kept going. I didn't try to preconceive what it was. Just went with it, and so this was the result. So, for those of you that have been following along for the last few weeks, we have actually now double the people that have seen this versus last week. I'm so pleased that people are starting to kind of like tune in a little bit more and enjoy what we're doing. At least I hope you're enjoying what we're doing. If you're not, let me know. Send me a DM on Insta or here on Haps or whatever platform you're watching in. Be it Twitter, Facebook, etc. However you want to communicate, I'm open to suggestions. If there's a particular theme that you want to do, remember I'm also a cartoonist, so I'm always open to cartoon themes. They're kind of a fave. Illustrations. We've done a couple of illustrations on here. I concentrate on fantasy and sci-fi mostly. So if you're into that sort of thing, you want to let me know and you want to see one of these episodes be that, that would be great. Right now, this particular painting that we're working on, not this one in front of me, but the one that we started at the beginning of the show, is kind of what we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. So I want to at least put some detail in and show you guys the progress on how that's working, so we get that landscape done and you get an idea of landscape painting on an underpaint is I hesitate to call them lessons, but is the challenge that I've taken on for the next few weeks. And so that's where we're at with that one. And if you couldn't tell, yes, I get kind of meticulous with stuff. I do really like detail work. I like it when the canvas sort of tells me what it wants and go along with it. Now, the fun part about this, because you can't really see it from the angle that you're looking at it, but the copper patina frame is actually kind of behind the rock structures because I had taped it beforehand. And if anybody were to ever try to dig underneath this painting to find out if there's a painting underneath it, I will never be that famous. Only by positive reinforcement. One day they'll have to do that to figure me out. They'll find a really badly painted nebula, which is one of the things that I'm actually going to be instructing shortly is at my RISD classes for teens. Here we go. Totally shameless plug. Woohoo! We are distance learning over at the RISD Continuing Education Program. And if you have a teen that is interested in illustration, I'm teaching several classes. One of the classes, the first one that I'm going to hit, starts on the 19th, and it is drawing and painting space fantasy. So creatures, astronauts, spaceships, distant worlds, and how to accurately paint galaxies and whatnot is what I'm going to be teaching the young ones. Not really young. I mean, it's like ages 13 to 17. So high schoolers and soon-to-be high schoolers. So if you've got a kid that's got a penchant for drawing, wants to learn something new from Crazy Bald Man in Rhode Island, look no further. That's why I'm here. Other courses that I'll be teaching would be the Steampunk Fabrication Lab, which is always a bunch of fun. And I'm going to be teaching illustration world building, one of my favorite classes. So we do stuff like fantasy cartography maps, and we basically, the kids think of a story, a fantasy story of their own, and we try to illustrate the basics of that story. So we look for like maybe the protagonist, maybe the antagonist. We make a map of the whole thing, and we have a grand old time. And all in all, it's just like they learn a lot of technique in watercolor, in acrylics, in ink, pencil, colored pencil, but all while doing something cool, something that they hopefully will find interesting. Because I know that when I was a kid, my mom was my art teacher, and like I was always doing all the technical stuff, right? So I learned all the technical stuff when I was young with her, because she took me along to whenever she was teaching. She had a private studio that she used to teach in when I was still in grade school. And she would take me along when she was teaching the high schoolers, and I was learning perspective, I was learning color theory and all sorts of stuff, and I was loving it. But that's when I was 9, and it was cool, and I could do something that I'd never done before. And then by the time I reached my teen years, I'm like, I want to draw cool stuff. And now that I'm an adult, I realize there's not a lot of difference. And that in order to draw the quote-unquote cool stuff, if you learn the basics, that's great. If you didn't learn the basics, you can learn the basics on the job, as they say. As you are drawing the cool stuff, you can also learn how to make it look better and better through your practice. That's how I roll. For those of you that have art students that are like your kids are art students that are really, really super into it and might want to explore, really pushing their limits. RISD also has something this summer called the Advanced. Advanced. It's the Advanced High School program. And in the advanced program, I also teach in that, but I teach art theory in that, which is one of my favorite things. there's an illustration track, there's sculpture track, there's all sorts of things. So whatever your young student artist is into, there's probably a track for them. That is a 8-week intensive course, or no, I'm sorry, 6-week intensive course. Comes in 2 parts, and really, 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 actually super helpful for kids looking to get into art school, etc. And it's asynchronous, so anybody around the world can join in. There are a couple of synchronous classes for that one. You meet at the very beginning of the class, and you meet at the very end of the class, like the first week and the last week, to recap and talk about how things go, and get the initial lessons and syllabi from your teachers, and then everything else is kind of async, so they can work at their own pace. Still have to meet deadlines, but at least they can, get their artwork done and get their, in my case, academic studies done. Not at their, kind of at their leisure, and then their own casual pace, kind of doing it as they feel, but make sure that they get it done within the deadlines. So it's sort of like pre-college, except it's more like online pre-college, which is where most colleges are stuck right now anyway. And hopefully we'll be back to regular on campus by the fall. But enough of that. If you are watching this on any of the other services other than HAPS, please do a follow. Go ahead and join in so that you can keep, a tab on when I'll be broadcasting next. If you are watching on HAPS, which I invite you to look at because it is an amazing app and a really cool website, haps.tv. And you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel on there. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. I'd really, really appreciate it. I do release other things on the YouTube other than just this. So even if you are watching this on HAPS, please also subscribe to the YouTube. Most of the stuff is pretty hard to find. It's all pretty much under Jason Robert LeClaire. So my full name, first, middle, and last, is how you find me on most platforms. The only one that does not follow that wonderful tradition is Twitter, because there was already, I can't fit that many characters on a Twitter handle. So Twitter is Jason_LeClaire. So you can find me on Twitter at that handle. The rest of it, it's my full name. Also, if you are a Clubhouse member, you can find me again at, big surprise, Jason Robert LeClaire. Oh, that's fabulous! You're having pottery classes again in the studio. I'm so happy for you. That just, it's so fulfilling when you're actually able to make it in studio, And I've had the fortunate ability that, COVID kind of did the opposite for me when it came to my studio practice. It actually opened it up. I reorganized everything in my house. I was able to make an office for myself because I was teaching from home all summer last year and then all year this year. So it only made sense for me to have somewhere to actually teach my classes and get stuff done. So now I've got this really cool studio set up in my office. Like I've got the cameras and everything all put in my mission control center, as I like to call it. And it's working. It's working. I get to do this with y'all. Thanks to Bobby Bicker, who was the person that introduced me to HAPS, invited me to come and join her on this. She's fabulous. She is an artist currently living in London, or England. I think she's in London. And she's just a wonderful, wonderful person. If you get a chance, subscribe to Bobby as well. So again, this is what we're looking at for detail. And if I stop, what I'm doing is I'm actually backing up to kind of take a look at what it looks like up to now. And I'm starting to lose. I think I'm getting as far as I want to go pretty much with this level. Maybe a little bit of stuff here just to add a little bit of dark, but I don't want to get too far up there. This is already quite dark. Up at the top, I don't think you guys can see it. Let me pull this back a little bit. So this is actually quite dark, although you can't see it because there's a glare going on. The glare, by the way, would be the fact that there's metallic paint on this. And so I'm going to re-emphasize the metallic by putting in some deep ruts into this. I originally, when I did this, it really looked like marcasite, which I think is the term for fool's gold, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am not right on that one, but I'm going to keep going with it. It just looks like fool's gold. Yes, Bobby is awesome. So it read like that to me, and so that was the working title of this piece when I started it. Like, oh, it's fool's gold. Let's just say fool's gold. And I don't want to put too much up here either, because that's going to ruin the balance of this whole thing. Oh, that was cute, right? Okay, I think we've got a good thing running here. I'm really pleased with that. What do you guys think? Let me tilt it up a little bit so you don't get as much glare. What do we think? Are we settled on this? This all set? I'll probably revisit it again later anyway. I don't want to compete with the white in the water, so I don't want to get too up on that. Looks fabulous. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to leave that alone for a while. Let's see if our other painting is dry. Oh, heck no. No way. Not even close. Yep, nope, not going to happen. We're definitely going to have to wait till next week to do that. I'm going to start working on it over the week. Add some detail in. What I'll do is, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to follow the progress. I'll go ahead and do some shots as we go along, trying to get that done. I think if I grab a different brush here for a second, I might be able to do something. It's not necessarily going to compete with the white if I make like a really kind of a lighter Payne's gray. And sort of dry brush it in. That's not dry brush, Jay. That's definitely not dry brush. Everybody makes mistakes. I make a lot of them. I'm good at them, actually. I'm really good at making mistakes. I need a bigger brush. Bigger, uglier brush, actually. I need something that's been beat up. Beat to hell, as I say. Ah, there you are. So I keep brushes around that, get really like ragged like this. And I don't keep them for a nostalgia purpose, trust me. What I do keep them around for is being able to do this with a very light touch. Bring out highlights. Doing what's called dry brushing, which is what I'm doing is I'm trying to drag it across almost like there's no paint on it. And pick up on the texture that's underneath. This is not working quite the way I want it to, but that's okay. Keep working on it, keep working on it. Wow, this is not working the way it's supposed to. That's a pity. Okay, we'll just have to go the hard way. Oh, by the way, yeah, notice I'm wearing gloves tonight. I'm doing that because I knew I was going to have to be spending a lot of time like rubbing the canvas and trying to get certain things to do things certain ways, and I did not want to mix a lot of the oils from my fingers into what I was painting. kind of a precautionary measure, sort of. It's funny, when I was looking for the subject for this week, for the big painting, I actually had some rock formations from New Hampshire I was taking a peek at. I think maybe it's because I had started this piece already that I was starting to think that way. Oh, what's really fun is that I did this patina today, by the way, on the copper. Copper patina was completed today. As I tried to figure out, how I was going to approach that and what I exactly was going to do with those portions of this composition. Because it kind of befuddled me a little bit. I was trying to think of, what on earth can I do to make that, work a little bit better. It was really hard to figure out what color to make the frame. I had done some paper pieces that I was going to work into there and collage on, and they were way, way too busy. It overpowered the rest of the canvas. So the solution was to just go with straight copper. And once I got the copper on there, I realized it needed some sort of color, something to contrast the rest of this, because the rest of this is just so bright and whatnot, that I needed something to kind of work past that. So grabbing the Verde Patina, I'm thinking about how that's done and really concentrating on getting it done as accurately as possible, and to do the kind of the almost faux through line. Really trying to get that to look three-dimensional and whatnot is always a challenge. Okay, I'm at the point now where if I mess with it anymore, I'm gonna wreck it. So we're gonna leave that be and say goodnight to that particular piece. Good night, piece. That is hopefully going to be. I have to make a frame for that, and then I will be entering that into a show that is concentrated on canvases and artworks that fit into a 10 by 10 by 10. And this is exactly 10 by 10. So the frame's going to have to lie on top. The second piece I'm entering into that is this one, which you might recognize from last week. And what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've put, this is the paper packaging tape in here. And it's self-adhesive gum tape. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over this with kind of an off-white, but I need to finish up making sure that everything's adhered down first. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I have to just adhere that down completely and make it all pretty. Then I'm going to go over that with off-white and white, and the wrinkles that are in the paper, which are deliberate, I made those, are going to really make this look like sort of, it's going to give it the dimension of crackled off-white and white paint, so that it's got kind of a Victorian frame. So you'll see that next week in completion. I'll make sure I bring that in and show off to you guys what that looks like. And hey, I'm getting a text. And yeah, so that's where we're at. I can't make things dry any faster, and I don't want to sit here and watch things dry, and neither do you, I don't think. So let's flip back over to the regular cam right now. Hi again. Okay, so I'm totally backlit. That's fun. Love that. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Thanks for working with me on this really nice big piece that, again, I'm breaking into some new territory here, and I'm happy that you came with me. So have an absolutely fabulous evening. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and make art. This is Jason LeClaire signing off. See you next week, 6 o'clock sharp.